Before we begin, thank you very much to Sapphics. Let's get this right. Let's get this right. Because this would be very bad to mess up. Sapphic Sasha, tongue twister, for joining the Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. January is the hardest month for your content creators because this is when ad revenue drops tremendously. So, for everyone who is hitting like, hitting subscribe, and yes, everyone who is pitching in on Patreon, you are genuinely keeping me around for the hardest time of the year for content creators. So, thank you guys very much for what you're doing to help keep everything alive. We're doing another tier ranking, and this time it is on combiners. And this is not my listing. I didn't build this one. This is one that I already found. So it's not the most complete listing. Almost every major combiner is here. But there are a few absentees. Megatronia is not in here. And obviously obscure stuff like Battle Gaia is not in here either. But we've got just about everybody here. It's almost Smash Brothers. Almost everyone's here. But we're gonna go through this just because I feel like combiners are a fun topic that we can cover. It's fun to talk about and figure out where all of them lie. So I did say we're gonna try and have better visuals from now on, but unfortunately, I'm a little pressed on time before I'm trying to get this in before the shop opens. So didn't quite have time for that, so I'm making do. Hope that's okay. So we're going to start with God Neptune. God Neptune is one where I love the color scheme. I love combiners that look unified in the combine mode. It's just, for whatever reason, I've owned the vintage and I own the modern one, and both of them are like super cool when I first see them, super cool when I first experience them, and then like I get tired of them, weirdly enough. But I do ultimately like the color scheme. I do think it works really, really well. I think it looks really cool. And it's not a holy grail for me. I think it's going to be low premium by the end of the day. So we'll leave it there. Next up is Victorion, the first combiner that is fan voted, though very loosely fan voted. Is it male or female? What vehicles? Basically telling us how do we repaint existing molds. I think it's okay for what they did. And again, it's a unified combiner, so it is like matching colors and everything. I like the unified weapon. That's a cool touch for a combiner to have. Fiction-wise, I don't really like any of her fictional depictions. Pyra Magna's not very much of a likable character. I'm trying not to put characterization in this so much. I'm not a fan of the color scheme. The color scheme is almost, it's like if Christmas faded, if that makes sense. It's like a very faded Christmas. But yeah, for like the first female combiner, I think it's a very weak outing. I think they could have done something much, much cooler than what they ended up doing. I know people that really like her. Just not in there. Tripredicus. See, it shouldn't work, should it? It's because it's a beetle, a cicada, and a lobster. But somehow it does. Like, it actually comes together pretty well. Now, it's pretty monstrous, but then again, it's a Beast Wars character. They're kind of monstrous in robot mode anyway. And the individual ones are actually not bad. Motor Arm is a little weird, but Motor Arm. I just referred to him by his Japanese name because I'm thinking Triple-Dacus. But no, Ramhorn. You can tell like they're okay on their own. They make okay figures by themselves. I'm not too hot on it. I'll put it at retail. Landfill RID. RID had solid combiners. This one is interesting because there's proportions to it I don't like, but then again, you can switch how the proportions work on this toy, which is a super interesting gimmick. I feel like a couple of them, long arm and heavy load, come off a little bit generic. They feel very same-ish. The other two, and then Grimlock is just kind of weird as a figure. And then Wedge. I think Wedge is great. Like Wedge was, we complained about small deluxes now. Wedge, everyone complained about back when it came out because it's so tiny. But it's also a really, really good toy. So, and I do really like the gimmick to him. We'll put him in premium. If it was one of the, if it was one of the Walmart ones, like the all yellow one, that way that makes him feel more generic, but also makes Landfill feel more solid. If that's weird enough, I like the Constructicon repaints; those are really good. All right, Rail Racer still in RID. Rail Racer as a combination is fantastic. Proportionally, it is probably the best of the combiners. Um, it's one of the, it's the only time I can really think of where it's the robot, the combined robot seemed to be designed first, and then they tried to design the robots around how that worked. To varying degrees of success, some of them come off a little bit lanky in the arms as a result. Midnight Express has the unfortunate task of forming the legs, so he has like very weird proportions. I do think overall it does come across very, very strong, though. And it helps that the vehicle modes don't sacrifice a thing for the transformation. You know, of course, Japan's going to make sure the train modes work great. I'm putting him up in Holy Grail. Now, he might drop down. I will let you know if he does. But for now, I think that's where we're going to keep him. Ruination, or Baldigus, depending on where you are in the world. Super cool color scheme. No, well, this is like a... This one is a hard one to parse because it's a Combaticon repaint, so it's only as good as the Combaticons. And at the time, it was G1 molds being released at a time after Beast Wars when we're used to really good articulation in figures, so it was a little bit weird when it came out. Like, toy-wise, it's inferior. Ruination himself has a cool color scheme, but the toys have in America have a different color scheme than the cartoon. So how do I actually judge Ruination as a combiner? See, because if I'm judging him based on how good of a toy he was for the day, then he's definitely bargain bin. If I put him somewhere based on like how cool he was in the cartoon, that I'm putting him premium. So I think I'm putting him retail just to split the difference and try not to get too many Ruination fans against me. I kind of think a lot of people like Ruination just because the name Ruination is so cool for a combiner. All right, Constructicon Maximus, our first of the 3 Energon combiners, and I'll tell you, these are not going to rank very high. So the sledge mold in that set, I think, is a nice figure for a scout class, for a basic class. I do think the dust storm mold is very boring, very boring. The combined mode's okay, but because it's 2 crane trucks and 2 bucket trucks or steam, no, I'm not even gonna try to get the construction vehicle names right. And someone's already corrected me in the comments, so don't do it. It's a very heavy construction vehicle versus a very light construction vehicle, and it creates some weird proportions. And then Steam Hammer himself is not a great figure. Yeah, this one I'm putting in bargain bin. I know a lot of people who like it, but I think it's just not nearly that good. And this isn't even including all the translucent plastic parts. And then, okay, Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. I honestly don't know what to do with him. It's unique as a combiner, but I really don't like the look of it. I really don't like the look of it. I don't know of a toy that came out that functioned well. The Studio Series one got combines, but then it doesn't function. Yeah, and I also don't think it was even that cool in the movie. It's just this big lumbering hunk of steel that was taken out by skids, mud flap, and a Deus Ex laser gun. You're gonna say it's movie bias or Revenge of the Fallen bias, but I'm putting him in flea market. I just think he's just too... I think he's too messy. I think he's too poorly used. I don't think he's that effective in the movie he's in. Yeah, I don't think highly of him at all. Bruticus Maximus. I do like this one better. I do think the molds that make him up are the best of the combiner molds they did in Energon. Like the helicopter is good. The tanks got some kibble, but it's good enough. And then like, is it Barrage? Like I can't remember the name of the. I suddenly can't remember the name of the core piece, but I honestly think like that was the best one out of all of those. I really like that toy. He's still an Energon combiner, which means he has the same weird hands and weird feet and the over-reliance on translucence. I am going to put him retail. I think he is better, definitely better than Constructicon Maximus. Certainly better than Superion Maximus. Okay. So, the individual molds are fine. Stormjet is a little bit weird, but beyond that, it's okay. The hands on this one are terrible. The feet are terrible. I hate this like weird like I don't even know what to call it. This weird like claw 2 fingers on both sides thing looks terrible. I think this one looks the weirdest in combined mode because you've got big like this massive because you've got one scrawny ankle and then the other ankle has this massive gap in it that makes no sense. And then you pair like the arms where like you have these big wings hanging off on one but not on the other. It's a mess. It's a mess of a combiner. It's a bargain bin. All right, Bruticus. Bruticus is definitely up there. So now we're talking G1 Bruticus. We're talking how he's utilized and how he was back in his day. I like the color schemes. This had some of the better characters from Combiners because it has Swindle. It automatically puts it up 1 rank for having Swindle. Color scheme's good. Good variety amongst the team. You get a lot of different style vehicles. This is the one that is hilarious to point to because of how out of proportion the vehicles are. Shuttle is obviously not going to be the same size as a Jeep. But I do think it's a good toy. I'm putting him up to premium. Computron. My boys. All right. So I'm putting in a Holy Grail, and here's why. I do like the unified color scheme that also isn't too unified. So everyone has their own little style and everyone stands out themselves. I love the futuristic vehicle styles. I love the variety of all the combiner teams. I think this one has the best variety. You're getting a drill tank, you're getting a futuristic car, futuristic motorcycle, futuristic jet, and then the big space shuttle cannon that is scattershot. I think he's a phenomenal combiner. And then, okay, Devastator. There's nowhere I can't put Devastator anywhere but the top, can I? He has to be up there. I do like personal bias. I do like Computron better. I'll put Devastator 1 notch lower just because he does feel a little bit samey after a while. A lot of because everyone feels a little bit like the same toy, just because it's all green, purple, and all the same size, etc. All right, so but he's definitely up there. Of course, being the first combiner, he's got to be up there. Dreadwing. So if we're judging by combiner, okay, so like I like Dreadwind and Darkwing on their own are fine. They're just Power Masters. Lumping them in as a combiner, I think, is unfair. I'm gonna, as a combiner, I'm gonna put him in Flea Market just because it's not the greatest thing you could do, just jamming one jet in the back of the other jet. And really, it shouldn't be in this list. That's where Megatronia should go. And if I'm putting Megatronia in this list, she's going to be up somewhere like low premium because I think it's a great idea for using that mold. Menasor. Another weird one because the cartoon and the toy have completely different approaches. I do like the idea of the Stunticons providing the Autobot equivalency amongst the Decepticons. The vehicles that they lacked. It fills in the ranks quite well. It's a nice way to put in more sports cars as well. This one kind of fits in the same vein as the aerial bots, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, where it feels very weird that they're all so similar to each other. So if you have the whole set, that doesn't feel like you get a whole lot out of it. This one does a little bit better because Motor Master is so different out of the others, but I do think it's going to be end up in retail. I like Menasor fine. I just don't think he's got a lot going for him, like as as far as variety's sake goes. Monstructor. I'm iffy about this one because Monstructor is a very small combiner since he was the small size pretenders, and then the individual robots and beasts are kind of messy and they're not great as Transformer characters in general. So they are a little bit odd in that regard. Um, and what bugs me about having them as a combiner, it means that you've got a whole stack of shells that have nothing to do while Monstructor's out. While you have Monstructor built and on display, you've got 6 shells that are empty and doing nothing. So like basically like half the plastic going into this toy isn't really necessary. And then of course fictionally he didn't do anything until the modern era where he's depicted as some kind of brutish monster. There's nothing terribly wrong with him, but I would put him low into retail. Piranacon, the Seacons again, big points for matching, and then you have the idea that the 6th member of the team basically becomes a target master. So any of them also have a gun mode for Piranacon to use. I like that. That puts him above. That puts him a step up. He will go in premium. I don't have much more to say about him. Just good variety matching. All right. Predaking straight to the top, of course. Unified colors, very different and unique look, both in toy and in the show. Very menacing. Probably as powerful as a combiner was ever able to look. Definitely goes up. I mean, I think I have to put Devastator higher just because of seniority, but he's definitely way up there. Slam Dance. I mean, a combiner in a sense, but he's not what you really think of as a combiner. For the sake of what he is, I'm going to put him in retail, and I'm going to put Squawk Box in there too. But of course, I really do like them. But I will admit, for thinking about combiners, it's a little bit unfair. And it's cool for what they do, as Soundwave cassettes that transform and have like a combined mode. It is cool. It is cool. As combiners, no, it's a little bit shaky to weigh them against like 5-6 member combiners. Like I had the same problem with Dreadwing, but at the very least, like the cassettes combining are cooler. Superion. So as I said, the problem I have with Superion is like they have a more uniform color scheme, which is good, especially for the combined mode. What is problematic about that is all of the smaller ones feel so much the same. They all feel like the same toy with just modified parts, they don't feel, you don't get a whole lot of variety out of your aerial bots, which is unfortunate. That definitely puts them lower on the list. Yeah, right now, yeah, like somewhere in retail is he cool. I'll put him above Monstructor, but like I really don't like the aerial bots just for that factor of like they feel so much the same. They feel like so much just like I'm not getting a whole lot out of them. Let's see. Who's next? Defensor's next. Defensor with the variety, already a big plus. He is unique in that the core robot does not match the team, but the team itself does. They are white and black and red, and they're emergency vehicle colors, and then they have a blue fire truck in the core, which gives them a unique look, but is still unified, which is actually cool. And of course, variety is good. So I'm putting him high up. We put him up there in premium. I think he's a little bit on the low side of premium, but I definitely think he goes up there. The G2 Combaticons. We talked about the Combaticons already. We don't really need to talk too much about the G2. I know it's super nostalgic for some. For me, I have to go bargain bin. Top of bargain bin. But I hate the camo. Where does a yellow and purple camouflage like missile truck hide? Like like where are you disguising? Where's your camouflage working in, in your like red and purple Jeep? I don't know, like that, the color scheme on there, like it's like glaringly 90s, but it also made no sense to me whatsoever. All right, uh, G2 Constructicons, definitely not up there as high. Being being what we in North America normally see as construction vehicles in yellow, that's an improvement. Uh, I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna put him low premium because again, we're talking about original combiner. We're talking unique because he's a 6-piece combiner with a lot of function that the others don't have, like firing fists and all extra accessories. But yeah, not as cool as the green and purple. Not as cool. And now G2 Superion. So we get into these too. If I put Superion in the normal release at the retail, then I gotta put you at bargain bin. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those colors either. They definitely stand out. They look more like fighter jets you'd see at an air show. Doesn't help that one of them's gold plastic. No, I never heard of a deep blue Concorde jet. That's a new one on me. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. The colors on that one never really went well with me. Landcross. Landcross is so unique. It's a 6-piece combiner, but all of them have basically they're all prototypes of the Energon combination sequence, where top and bottoms form. You end up with the individual robots being very simplistic and kind of weird looking in proportions, but what you get out of it is so much more play function than you would expect for their size. I had the DX, what they called Deluxe or DX Micromasters when they were re-released as candy toys, but it was the vintage figures, and they're fun. They're a lot of fun. A modern version, I don't think they could do a modern version because they try to complicate the design so much they wouldn't function as well as they used to. Yeah, this is honestly, like, I'm gonna put Landcross Holy Grail. Landcross does so much. He is such a good set of toys and so unique for combiners. Very, very fun and interesting figure. Magna Boss. We're going to ignore the gold plastic on Silverbolt / Skywarp, and we're just going to focus on the fact that this is a very solid looking team. Even more so if you have the fiction of Beast Wars 2 behind it, because Lio Jr. makes a much more interesting character than this Prowl, who may or may not be the original Prowl. I do really like Magnaboss. Ironhide makes the set suffer a little bit because he is such a bizarre shell former of a figure, but then again, he's doing most of the work in the combination mode, so I can kind of see why that is the way it is. Yeah, Hasbro, before you can the Beast Wars reissue line, because I know it's selling terrible, it's shelf warming everywhere. Do a Magna Boss for us, please, and do Skywarp / Silverbolt in just like normal brown that's not gonna break, please, 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 pretty please. Premium, absolutely premium. Okay, so this list has a fallacy. The next one on the list is Volcanicus, but they are using a third-party combiner for the photo. So the photo is wrong. We are judging Power the Prime Volcanicus with this one, and we're judging Volcanicus and Power the Prime. I hate Volcanicus. I hate how, considering he's built with Dinobots, I hate how lanky he looks. I hate how far out his shoulders are. It's the same look that like Power Core combiners had that I hated so much. And more to the point, Dinobots don't need to combine. They're powerful enough to fight combiners without needing that. They're all supposed to be the same size. You know, if you're gonna do the Dinobots as combiners, at least figure out how to do it the same way you do Predacons, because that's kind of a thing. They're all huge. You don't have, it doesn't work when Grimlock is big. Grimlock as a T-Rex should not be bigger than Sludge as a Brontosaurus. That's all I'm saying here. yeah, I don't like Volcanicus at all. I don't like the concept of Volcanicus. Um, like the toys are okay. The toys are okay, but the combination is just no. I'm putting him bottom of bargain bin. I'm not gonna be mean enough to put him in flea market. And then we have Cyberverse Volcanicus. This one I'm just character wise, I don't like taking so many brute characters because you have like three characters who are just kind of like more closer to Dinobot style brutes. You have Swoop, who is the smartest character in the show, like outstrips even Wheeljack in Cyberverse as far as genius goes. And then you have the much more sophisticated adventuring Grimlock, which is actually a fun character. The balance of that being like a Cheetor style, like young hotshot style character, that felt off. I like, and they overused it. They way overused it. I'll put him in retail. I'll put him in retail. It would help if Volcanicus had a good toy, but all we have is that big like barely transforms one, which is not a great look or representation. Give me Cyberverse Swoop. She deserves better. Oh boy, Nexus Prime. What do we do with Nexus Prime? Um, so naming issues aside, um, naming issues aside, the red and blue color scheme never really worked for me. I think it's a little bit too stark, a little bit too primary. Obviously, it's mostly translucent plastic, which already puts it huge steps down for me. To make such a rare combining piece and then say, oh, it's clear, and then make it all clear plastic. I do like that it's using all the best molds from the Energon combiners. That's a good choice. That's a good choice. Um, Beyond that, it's still an Energon combiner. Meh. I mean, I'll give it a point. I'll give it a little bit more points for a unified color scheme, but I still don't like how it looks. I still don't like a lot of it. All right. We have Fall of Cybertron Bruticus. So a different team of Bruticus. I do like the design of the characters. The toys had some issues because it's the first time they were doing proper combiners in a long time, and they made Onslaught just a normal Voyager or normal Deluxe. So it's a weird, lanky looking guy. I do like the blast off in that set, especially if you got the box set version. That's like accurate to the game. That one looks really cool. Uh, I actually like the vortex in that set too. Like those are nice figures. Swindle's not bad. Brawl's okay. Uh, Onslaught's got problems. I don't think it's I like cohesively. I don't think it's as good as the original Bruticus, especially for if we're judging toys based on like when they came out rather than like with rose tinted glasses. I put them higher toward the retail release end, but not too high up. Raiden. All right, this one I don't have as much experience with. I watched through Headmasters. Um, I never. I don't think Raiden ever left too much of an impact on me. It felt more like just he existed to show off. Now, toy wise, he's interesting. The individual six trains are fine. Of course, Japan's gonna make sure trains look good. The combination is also far more solid than most combiners look because of the way it combines. It's actually, a pretty interesting and pretty unfortunate we never got it because there's a lot to actually like about the style in Raiden. Because I haven't had any like full experience with him, I'm gonna put him on top of the retail release because I do think he is a very solid combiner, a very good-looking combiner. But overall, um, yeah, I would need a little bit more fiction to him before I would make a call of like, how he is as a combiner total. But still, like, nothing bad to him. We'll see at the end if we bump him up. Grand Galvatron, Unite Warriors, kludging together a bunch of random characters. Prime Breakdown is in there. Armada Thrust is in there. The Ghost of Starscream is somehow a combiner limb. And then Roller, who's very bitter toward Optimus for some reason. And then yeah, Cyclonus forms the core. It's. I never did like this set. I never liked. And it always felt weird to me that Cyclonus had a Galvatron mode in the Combiner War mold in the first place, and then you throw in like such a random cobbling of Decepticons who are vaguely unrelated to each other. Uh, the only thing I can like, the only thing I can really like compare any of them to is like they were all undead for a time. Maybe not Roller, but Breakdown was a zombie. Thrust was a Unicron minion. So he's in there somewhere, and of course Starscream's a ghost. So even then that's shoddy. I can't link them. I can't link them. They're just 5 random characters. I hate combiners like that. All right, 6 builder. We're going into Micromaster ones, and again, not terribly familiar with them. There's no fiction behind them. They're okay for what they are. I'm not going to waste too long on them. I do like that the individual pieces on these can combine into a vehicle for them to fly, so it works a little bit better. I am probably going to put most of these into retail release, and forgive me, this is going to look weird for a second here. Okay, that actually didn't mess up anything as bad as I thought it would. Good, we can continue. 6 train, not as interesting as the build. We'll put them at the bottom of retail. I'm trying to remember the names without looking them up, because in the American Universe release, these were the Protectobots, even though some of them were distinctly not rescue vehicles. I think they all pretty much go in about the same general area. I'll throw the Constructicons up higher, and I'll throw some of the more similar ones down lower. The train bots aren't as cool. The jets I don't think are as cool. So we just move on past them. We're ending off on a trilogy of victory, and we start with Dino King. Dino King, it's a repaint of Monstructor, and it comes with the same problem. Shells that make up the bulk of the toy that you do not use elsewhere. I do like the colors better, and what helps is the fact that he does have characterization. Very strong characterization for some of them. So yeah, he definitely goes higher than Monstructor, but the toy itself is just about as so I can't put him too much higher. I will put him above Bruticus Maximus. How about that? That feels okay to me. Lio Kaiser. You talk about characterization. Lio Kaiser's team, again, 6 bots combined. You have integrated, for the first time, integrated hands and feet and chest. The only thing you needed extra was a head, which is great for those of us trying to get a complete one. Not that I'm trying to get a complete one, because gold plastic. Thanks, Kill Bison, ruining that dream. The toys itself, like, they're really good. From everything I've seen, they are a very nice set of toys, and they are very, very cool in Victory. I don't think I can avoid a Holy Grail. Like, that is definitely one of the top ones. Please, Hasbro, Titan Combiner, please. I need something that's better than that weird repaint one you did. And we're going to finish it off a little bit anticlimactic with Road Caesar. Road Caesar, again, unique. It's 3 same-sized Autobots. They all have the Brain Master gimmick built in, and it's a 3-piece combiner. It's unfortunately not a preference of mine because the proportions look so weird. His legs look so freaking huge because it was just a 3-piece. You had the core bot is making up most of the torso, so you don't really have a whole lot of function to him. All right, so yeah, unfortunately, like, I'm going to put him top of bargain bin. Road Caesar's just never been that impressive to me. So I'm looking at this over. I'm already going to tell you, Raiden, I'm moving up to premium price. I do think Raiden is definitely a much more solid team than the rest of the ones in retail release. Looking it over, I mean, I'm okay with everything. Where I think I'm okay where everything is here. I got my favorites, obviously. I think I've justified them very well. And looking at everything else, I don't really see anything that stands out as like, oh, that could have been higher up. Look, just like I'm doing like one quick little once over. Am I being too harsh on the cassette combiners? Because it is cool that cassette combiners can actually combine, but I don't think it's as cool as multi-piece combiners. So I think I have to balance it out in there somewhere. I think I would call that a list. You know what? No. We're moving. Yeah, moving Bruticus down. I wouldn't put him above the aerial bots. All right, I'm calling that. I'm calling that my list. Please tell me in the comments section how wrong I am, and that your favorite combiner should have been at the top. Please tell me who is missing from this list, because remember, this is not my list. I borrowed this from somebody else. This was a list that was pre-made. There are obviously missing combiners. There's no power core on here, obviously. Thank God. But this is what I got to work with, so this is what we have. And I think that pretty much is most every major combiner. So, yeah, let me know what you thought, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.